Favorite anime. So, oh, he also plays a ton of like nerdy guys. Do you guys know Osomatsu-san? He's Choromatsu. Wait, right? Choro? Wait, is it Choromatsu? Oh god, it's playing the clip again. Quick, get me out. Okay, yeah, Choromatsu is the nerd in like the Osomatsu-san brothers. Osomatsu bros. So he plays that nerd, and he also plays he plays the nerd in Blue Lock. The guy, the nerdy like coach guy, the guy that manipulates everything. So he's that guy, and he also plays the nerd in Carol and Tuesday. So he plays a lot of nerds. So I didn't know that he was Araragi from the hit horny show. I don't know. What does patrician taste? Oh, aristocrat. Oh, you think so? Ah, thanks. We'd love to hear that. Read One Piece up to chapter 500, forgot all of it, but I love Law. Okay. His aesthetic is peak. Yeah, I love a guy who looks tired as fuck. And I'm not joking about that. Never see Osomatsu myself. That's okay. It's Fujo bait. I mean, I guess it's not bait. It is pretty Fujo-y. Let's try Pat's Pond. This one looks cute. This is a hard level. Oh god. Okay. Monkeys will come in on both sides. This side and this side. So we have $650. We'll spend my first 300 on this monkey. And then we'll spend another on this monkey. And then we send it. If we die, then we die. Just got nothing for recording for stream. What? Really? But this channel is 18 plus anyways. Wait, what do you mean? Did I get it too? It just popped for me though? Oh. That's scary. That's scary. Broke is just killer in every scene, even when they put him in a dress recently. I saw that. Yeah, Broke is pretty cool. Jazz loves some good ass anime unironically. What the heck? I mean, I'm happy to hear that. But why does it sound like it's a surprise? Bought the first 2 episodes of Bakemonogatari to watch during anime club in high school. Thankfully, the club advisor was busy that day. Thank God. Who was your club advisor? Was your club advisor like a teacher? Oh my god, that reminds me. In high school, we had Japanese club instead of anime club, where we like try to learn Japanese. And I remember our club advisor was like one of our math teachers. Who I didn't know he was like that. I didn't know he was chill like that. I thought he was just a math teacher. But he was like, he heard like one of my friends being like kawaii, and he was like, excuse me, it's not kawaii, it's kawaii. I was like, damn. He kind of popped off with that. Oh shit, Alpha? One day I gotta tell you all the story of my friend. His life literally was accident of Fujo bait at one point. Oh, I'm interested. The screen that said this stream content is intended for certain audiences. Why is it happening now? Kawaii, damn. Yeah. Wait, there's Japanese myths? I guess monogatari does mean story. Oh, bakemonogatari? Like monster? Monster story? I need to for real take Japanese lessons? Yeah! Yeah! And then we could go to Japan together. Every day, I miss the food. Are we doing okay, guys? Fellas? Okay, well, you should get monkey sense at least. And then we'll wait on this one to upgrade. Okay. For the record, I did say it was safer not to show it. That's fair. You know, we like towing the lines here. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that bad. As long as no one clips it, we're okay. Wow. Should we do Duolingo streams again? I'll tell the whole story someday because it's long, but let's just say he found out he liked dudes in the most enemies to lovers trope way possible. Oh, I'm interested. Oh, you guys clipped it? It's fine. It's fine. Like I said, we're a small channel. I don't think we'll get caught. How did the clips look? Did it look okay? What if we do Duolingo after this one? After this map? 3 weeks from 1K day streak on Duolingo? Holy for 1K? How many years is that? 360? That's at least, that's like a little over 3 years? Oh, almost 3. Oh, that's right. It's 365. That's crazy. Every day. That's crazy. I couldn't stick with it after like 5 days. But it's okay. I get enough JP practice just by being into my interests. Duolingo. Yeah. We gotta find a better alternative to Duolingo. It keeps getting worse. Made it to Diamond League, not tired. What is Diamond League? What do you have to do for that? Lost a 200 something streak days before the start of my current. Oh, damn. Do you guys, there has to be like, oh, I can remove this? I don't need to. There has to be like power-ups, right? To like save your thingy. Save your streak. Oh, thanks, Dio. Thanks for the JP only redeem. What are we gonna talk about though? All right, you guys can talk about whatever, and I will try to respond. Give me some topics to talk about in Japanese, please. Actually, what if I? Okay, wait, let me go pee. Can I go pee first? And I'll start the timer when I'm back. Wait a second. What is this? Oh shit, hold on. Work. Okay, I'm good. I go pee. Be right back. I just got back. No. Oh my god. Hello? I want to grab ice. It was over. It's fine. How long did it take to pee? What the hell? L plus ratio plus potty demise plus no monkeys. No. Potty demise. NT, thank you. It's okay. We can try again. Actually, you know what? Let's swap to Duolingo. Fuck this game. Oh, hi Lucas! I just closed balloons. I'm sorry. How long has it been for stream? Oh, 1.5 hours. You know what? We'll take that. I think that's okay. Since Steel redeemed a bathroom redeemed. There's a bug on my desk. Wait, that's a spider. Oh, I'm sorry. But I'm too scared of you. Okay. Okay. Since Steel did the redeem, you know what? I think it'll be good. I think this will be good because it'll help me. It'll give me topics to talk about. I have to log into Duolingo first, though. I'm sorry. Don't. I'm sorry. The spider is gone. Oh, I'm in. Talk about hobbies. Can I take a test? Okay, I got it. Oh, now I can pick my music. Oh my god, guys, what should we listen to? Oops. We could listen to City Pop. That was what I was listening earlier. Does that mean this whole stream is gonna get DMCA'd? Ba, 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 da, ba, da, ba. Tell us about games in a language you don't speak. I'm gonna be talking about a language that you don't speak in the language that you don't speak. As soon as we start. As soon as I pull up Duolingo. Is the audio loud enough? Is it just because of my ears? I can't tell. It feels really quiet to me. Oh shit. Hold on. Okay, is this enough? Ah yeah, Duolingo. Is there anything I have to cover on my screen for this? I have no idea. Oh, bye Jerry! Have a good stream. Thank you! Thank you! Thanks for hanging! Have a good rest of your night! Wahoo! Wait. Change category? Do they have a Duolingo category? It says my stream is unstable. That's kind of fair. I'm gonna take this off my chin if you don't mind. Duolingo. Oh, there is! That's crazy. It's not even a game. Okay. Thank you, Steel, for the Japanese only redeem from 9 minutes ago. I will now start the timer. After I clear my throat. Okay. Start! Okay. 今の練習タイムはいい。助かります。助かる？ 日本語の duolingo をテスト。Jump here? セクション2。デートプラン。 Okay. Pass this test to jump. Let's go. Okay. 10月 October. Yeah.
12月
ジャスは頭がいいでしょ12月12 December ですね。食べ物 food は食べ物。はい。
8月
8月15日の午後12時間。8月は August です。頭がいいです。Yeah. はい。でしょ Lights display 何ですか？なんで食堂はカフェテリアです。バドミントン多分ない。イルミネーション。食べ物これでフェスティバル花火お祭りはフェスティバルです。10月この
10月
3番はい
8月にピアノのパフォーマンスがあります。
8月 There's a piano performance in August でしょ。イェーイOK 今週末 blank 遊びませんか？一緒に今週末はい一緒にいや
12月に渋谷でパーティーがあります。
渋谷パーティーですね。 There's a party in Shibuya in December. やったー Oh god コミュニティセンターで太鼓のパフォーマンスがあります。でしょいやー
クリスマスケーキを買います。
クリスマスケーキみんなクリスマスが好きですか？クリスマスケーキはなんでしょう。何にNever mind. Wait. 渋谷のハロウィーンのパーティーはとても晴れです。にぎやかです。午前です。にぎやかです。イェーイ。
ハロウィンに何をしますか？
What are you doing? Wait, what? ハロウィーンに何をしますか？ What are you doing? Doing? どこ？ Oh. What? There you go! That was the 5 minutes JP. Nobody answered my question, guys! Oh, thank you for the redeem, Steel. Thank you. Great practice. This is hello. Nanyo shimasu ka? What are you doing on Halloween? But why does it say it? There's no... Is it what do you do on Halloween?
ハロウィンに何をしますか？
Like, what are you doing on Halloween? There was a question? Yeah, I asked if you guys like Christmas. Doing... What do you... How do you answer this?
ハロウィンに何をしますか？
What do you Halloween? What do you going? What do you do? How do I answer this? How do I answer this? How do you answer this? What are you doing? But there's no doing, there's only going. Guys, how do I answer this?
ハロウィンに何をしますか？
Nani o shimasu ka is like, what are you doing? What do you... What? What are you do on Halloween? Are we allowed to help? Yes, please help! I'm asking for help, please! How do you do this? What are you going to do? Thank you. I'm so stupid. Thank you, thank you. Oh my god. I hate Christmas. I don't celebrate it myself. Okay, that's fair. That's fine. That's fine. Failing at English on the JP quiz. I didn't know. Thank you though. We're halfway there. I'm taking a test. I don't know if you guys know, but they have like these tests that's like if you can pass this then you can skip these lessons. So I'm trying to take my acceleration quizzes. Osaka de Osaka o countdown no evento blank あります。大阪で大阪がカウントダウンをあります。大阪でカウントダウンがあります。I think it's this one. Or 大阪をカウントダウンにあります。I think it's there because the countdown is happening in Osaka. Yes!
チョコバナナを食べませんか？
Thank God. I don't know the difference between what those even mean. They're different particles. So particles are like for ga. Ga is like a sentence, like a subject particle. So you use ga when you're referring to a subject, just like a noun. But if there's an all I remember is if there's an action happening at a place, like something is happening, there's an event, an action happening at a place, you use de because de is like particle, it's a particle for things happening in places. But I always get ga confused with de because sometimes I feel like I have to use de too much because it's not always, even if okay, I think what confuses me is that sometimes when they mention a place, I'm automatically like de because a thing is happening at a place, at a different place than like the current location. But it's not the case sometimes. I don't know. When it comes up, I'll tell you guys because I'll mess it up for sure, and then I'll be like, see, this is what I meant. Action happening de, yeah. I thought particles were like sand, dust, and ash. You're not wrong about that. I'm waking up. Oh, I'm breathing in the particles. Yeah. チョコバナナを食べませんか? Would you like to eat a chocolate banana? Chocolate covered banana? Would you like to eat a basketball? Wa 30 い something this. How do you say this? Nichi? One day. ちゃんとあまり明日
明日
tomorrow is the 31st. I love a basketball. Thanks. Oh shit, the basketball. There's a lot of tasty food. おいしい
おいしい
食べ物が
が
たくさん
たくさん
あります。
あります。
Yay! Guys, we're gonna pass! We're gonna pass our test! 近くの天ぷら近くの弁護士 What the hell is 弁護士? Sounds familiar. 近くの blank で彼氏に会います。Oh, excuse me. 近くの something で彼氏に会います。妹。公園。meeting her boyfriend at a nearby park. I'm going to meet my boyfriend at a nearby park. Yeah. Oh, lawyer. Oh, I think you're right. 弁護士。Famous parade. 有名な
な
お祭り Wait, parade. 有名なパレード
パレード
です。
です。
で Yeah. 今週末 means weekend. For those of you who don't know. 週末 means weekend. 今 means like this. Like 今週 is this weekend. 正直醤油 Wait, am I reading this right? お土産公園に行きませんか? It's the park. We're going to the park. Yay! New Year's Eve countdown. お遊びませんか? 大晦日 What is 大晦日? Is that New Year's Eve?
大晦日
No countdown.
カウントダウン
Hey, we did it! 大晦日 Okay, 大晦日 is New Year's Eve, I guess. 大晦日は something を見ます。テレビ watching it on the TV. It's a dance contest. ダンス
ダンス
コンテストダンスのコンテスト Do we need a no?
のコンテスト
ダンスのコンテストです
です。
I don't know if we need that. Okay. Oh, this picture is so cute. 花火大会に飲みましょう。Let's drink. 行きましょう。
行きましょう。
I passed! 100%! Let's go! My 1 day streak. I can't. Freaking Duolingo. 3 days. I'm not gonna play this again. Alright, date plans. What would be too hard for me? What do we want to talk about? Section 3? Do you think I can do section 3? Yeah, we aced it. Pass this test to jump ahead to section 3. Can we do it? Ice. Cold.
氷
Do you guys actually want me to explain what's happening? Would that help? I'm cracked. You will never face any difficulties here in this place. Wow! That's so kind of you to say. Is there a how to riz Japanese girls section? I don't know, man. I think maybe you should watch Bakemonogatari. Maybe you can train to be a voice actor. Mika. Toast. Toast.
トースト
So true.
3階
Sandai. I don't even know what that is. Towel. Taoru.
タオル
Are you guys learning? Are you guys learning? You could explain this to me in 9 different languages over the course of 4 years and I wouldn't understand a damn word of it. Well, yeah. If there are 9 different languages, of course not. Yeah, taoru is towel. We're learning, guys. We're learning. Yonkai. Oh my god. One Piece fans. One Piece fans, you know this. Yon is 4. Yonko no whatever law says.
4階
Credit card. Credito
ク
card.
レジットカード
Oh shit, her voice is so nice. Futsuka. Futsuka? Fu.
2日
This one.
パスワードをお願いします
The password, please. The password, please. 4回4で会いましょう。を食べましょう。を聞きましょう。Oh, Kai, like 4 times. So listen to it 4 times. What? Oh, 4回 is 4 floor? 4th floor?
どんなホテルを探しましょうか
What type of? What kind of hotel should we look for? Hi. Okay, Steel. The question was if other people want me to explain then. Hi Tila, welcome in. Yeah, Yonko. For emperors? Hotel. I think it's this one. Yeah, May 3rd? Oh, that is 5. Okay.
ルームサービスは無料ですか
What is Muryo? Is that free? Is room service free? I think is room service free? Should I add the? Is the room service free? Let's go. これは私の something の鍵です。Oh, my key? これは私のご飯の鍵。my food's key? My room key. 部屋。What is this one? Yaku. Yaku is baseball. My baseball key.
部屋の番号は770です
My 部屋の the room number is 部屋の番号は the room number is 770. Wow, it's about hotels. ご飯の鍵 sounds right. Yeah. It's okay, Steel. It's okay. At least you answered, you know. 7th. Wait, 7th July? July 3rd is a little. Oh, it's September. September 7th. I don't know. I
ATM は
don't
自販
know.
機の後ろですか？
What did you say?
ATM は自販機の後ろですか？
What is jihanki? In ATMs is ATM は自販機の後ろです。Oh, 自販機 vending machine? Is the ATM は自販機の後ろですか Is the ATM behind the vending machine? Right. Chinatown. Na, 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 na. Oh my god, タブ。ホテルのスパに行きます。I'm going to the hotel spa. It's American milk, isn't it? What? アメリカの
アメリカの
牛乳
牛乳
ですね。
ですね。
What does that mean? Yeah, there's American milk? I don't know. Check-in は something. I think it's this one. This is the only one that has a time. Check-in at 12:20. I'll reserve a ticket right now on the internet. Okay. 今。What is reserve? 予約します。I think it's 予約します。Ticket. 今。コーヒーメーカー。コーヒー。勉強しませんか？ありませんか？今、切符を。
ネット。
今、ネットで。チケットを予約します。Yeah! Guys! Wi-Fi の something は何ですか？ Wi-Fi の password?
パスワード。
Should we wait next to the lobby? ロビーの隣で待ちましょうか。Yeah. この部屋はコーヒーメーカーがありません。ブランクに行きましょう。カフェ So it says the coffee maker and there's no coffee maker in this room. Let's go to the cafe. ATM is in front of the gym. How do you say gym? 使いませんか？探しません。出口の乗り換えませんか？ Oh, gym is ジム。ジムは ATM の前です。Wait. The ATM is in front of the gym. ジムは ATM の前です。No. Flip these. ATM はジムの前です。ATM is in front of the gym. Okay. Makes sense to me. Yeah. Hi, Danan. Welcome in. Coffee. Wow, my Japanese is very Jozu. Really? Thanks. I got Chozu'd. Until what time is checkout? 何時まで am I starting this right? Is this okay? しません。買いませんか？何時までチェックアウト。どれ？ No. 何時までチェックアウトは Wait. I think the grammar is a little weird. ですか is definitely the ending. チェックアウトは何時までですか？ Yes! I only made one mistake! Yay! We pass! Okay, I still got it. I still got it. Review exercises from previous units. I guess we can do that. Ooh! We can do this. Wait, do I have to pay for this? Try super for free. Let's read a story. I think this is free. No notifications. Wait, there's no stories. I don't think there's any stories. Which of these sounds fun? Thank you for the patches! Yeah, I still got it! I still got it! Travel experience. Buy clothes. Describe a day at college. Cook with someone. Describe health issues. Oh, okay. Let's do that. That's me every day. Let's try it. Wall. Kabe.
壁
Is this a health issue?
午後
Her brain big, her body breaking down. No. Go. That means afternoon. Whose? 誰の?
誰の
東
Higashi is west. Right? East. Oh, it's east.
東
Sorry. Kongatsu. Kongatsu.
今月
Kongetsu, sorry. I thought it was east. You're right. You're right. Furniture. Kagu?
家具
What does this have to do with doctors? Aida. Aida's this one.
間家の中にペットがたくさんいました
家の中にペットがたくさんいました. There were a lot of pets inside the house. Yes, quite. Oh, Eden of the East? Oh yeah. Wait, what's the name of that? Higashi no Eden? Higashi no... Oh my god, it really was Higashi no Eden. I haven't watched that anime in forever. All I remember was that one scene where that guy was naked in front of Washington, in front of the house, the White House. Petto tana. Wait, what? Petto to tana ne tana no. What is tana? Petto to tana. Totana? 間に机がありました。ペットと棚ね。棚のでペットと棚の What am I reading? Oh, there was a... Oh, it's a bed. I was reading it wrong. It's bed. Beddo no... Oh, I still don't know what tana is. Shelf? There was a desk between the bed and the shelf. Oh, okay, it was bed and shelf. Tana no 間に机がありました。
大きい門がありました。
大きい門? What is a mon? I need help! I need someone who knows random simple vocab. 大きい門. There was a big something. Oh shit, it could be any of these. There was a big cherry. There was a big house. Oh, gate! I think mon is gate. Oh yeah! Like the Torimon. Pokemon. Nice one. It's gate. Gogo Yoji 4 o'clock にナオミさんのアパートに行きました。はい。
玄関のドアはカラフルでした。
玄関のドア The door's entryway? The color, wait, the entryway? 玄関の door は colorful でした。There was the door, the entryway. The door entryway was colorful. What is Genkan? Genkan? The overseas entryway, the overseas door was colorful? What is Genkan? I have no idea. Oh no, the overseas door. That doesn't sound right. Send it. The entryway door. I had that. Ken さんの新しいアパートはそこブランクの東です。そこシチューレストラン。ケンさんの新しいアパートはそのレストランの東です。I don't think it sounds right. そこYou? Yeah, I had it. Size. What is Shichu? Oh, it was a restaurant. I'm whipping it! Dang. One more mistake
キ
and
ッ
it's
チンも
over.
広かったです。
キッチンも The kitchen was also spacious. It's okay, we can do it. I can do it! 手作りの something は美味しかったですよ。手作りのサンダル、ミニゴルフ、ミニゴルフ、クッキー、it's cookie。手作り homemade cookies。
山口さんの奥さん。
Oh, Yamaguchi's wife? Mr. Yamaguchi's wife? Oh, we're talking about wives? Wasn't this supposed to be about health concerns? Why is it like desks and restaurants and moving? ダイニングのカビン、oh. ダイニングのカビンはカビンは素敵でした。Something も可愛かったです。花も。Right? Flowers in the flower vase. I put on slippers at the entryway. Okay, what the hell was entryway that we learned earlier? Kanban? Genkan でスリッパを急ぐ安かった履きました玄関でスリッパを履きました Thank God. Maybe you need this stuff to be healthy? His wife is concerned about his health. I'll see it when they say it. I know entryway was Genkan. Me too. Will we remember it though? If they don't say it, if I don't see it in like anime, I don't think I'll remember it. Get them, thank you for the hydrate and the poster. Thank you. We're gonna talk about Genkan every stream now. A complete lack of understanding. Still, it's time. Get on it. It'll help you play your games better too. Mon no ushiro ni kawaii something ga arimashita. Kawaii fuyu niwa.
Niwa.
Niwa is like a garden. Mon no ushiro, so behind the gate there's a cute garden. There's a cute garden behind the gate. Yeah. Lunch was a tasty chicken sandwich. Oh shit. Gohan. Chicken. Pan. Sandwich. Omokata. Abunakata. Hiru gohan?
昼ご飯
Hiru gohan wa
は
oishii
おいしい
chicken
サンドイッチ
oh, oishii chicken
チキン
sandwich
サンドイッチ
deshita.
でした
Deshita because it's was, which makes it past tense. That's right. Oh god. Daniel さんの旦那さんと Excuse me? Wait, did I say hello to Kyutam already? Was Kyutam here earlier? Hi Kyutam, welcome in! Did I already? I can't remember. Aimashita. Daniel さんの旦那さんと child. 息子さん。
息子さん。
息子さん, yeah. I met Daniel's husband and son. Wow, let's go! Let's go! Oh, I saw that. I saw you posting about that, Steel. It's okay. It's okay. Take your time. Daniel's husband pod Gage. Is Gage an actual emote? This month's party. 今月の
今月の
パーティー
パ
は
ーティーは
楽しかった
楽しかった
です。
です。
This kid is going to parties? 田中さんの I mean yeah 田中さんの something ソファーは本当に可愛かったですよ。Is this gonna say like red? 田中さんの赤いsofa. Red sofa is really cute. TV was big. テレビは
テレビは
大きかった
大きかった
で
ですす。
The fridge was very big. This had nothing to do with health. Oh, it's on 7 TV. Let me see what Gage looks like. What? I wonder what it could look like. It's just a rainbow. There's so many of them. Oh my god. We should get a cute one. There's a poggers for Gage. It's P Gagers. Do you guys want that one? I added it. It's P Gagers. It looks really funny. Okay, refresh stream to use it. P Gagers. You store food in a fridge and food is healthy? I guess so. What the hell is fridge? Okusan. Omoshirokata. Shirokata. Reizoku. Reizoku wa
は
大きかった
大きかった
です。
です
I passed again. Neizoku is Neizoku, I think. You're really close.
Get more with Super Duolingo.
Oh no!
Go ad-free.
I muted it. How are we feeling about P Gagers? You guys like it? This guy is so cute. Did you see that official Duolingo and Honkai? Or was it Honkai or was it Genshin? They had that official ad. It's very P-gaugers, that's for sure. What does that mean? Alright, I think I'm done. That was fun. That was fun. I'm just passing tests. Feels pretty good, if I'm being honest. Alright, it's only been 2 hours. Should we end early tonight though? We can do a little karaoke. Oops. Oops. This one. Let's do it! Genshin. Yeah. I saw those fan art, the fan art, and I thought it was like... I thought it was just... They were having... I thought it was like a fan-made thing. I didn't realize it was official. Duolingo Bird was like, remember when you deleted me to free up storage or something? Oh my god. I'm trying to gaslight you. Gaslight, manipulate. Gate boss. Okay, Steel, go to sleep. Go to sleep, Grandpa! It's only 11 p.m. for me. We gotta go a little, at least another hour. Let's karaoke! Thanks for stream. I'm not ending yet. Here. Let's just do some music. Anybody have any questions about my Artist Alley experience? I don't feel like I have anything else to say, but I think I'm missing a lot of things too. Watch after I end stream, I'll be like, oh, I should have talked about that. Oh, I do have another story. I remembered. Okay, guys, feel free to request songs. Feel free to request some songs. Karaoke, yeah. Whatever, Steel. I understand. Go to sleep then. I'm not gonna end stream just because you have to go. Sorry if that's a little harsh. Yeah, I'll tell some more stories while you guys request some songs. If anybody wants to request a song. How was it? It was fun! Oh, I just tuned in. Oh, yeah, it was fun. It was fun. I basically stayed in Artist Alley the entire time, so I didn't get to see anything outside of that. Did you see anything random or weird happen? Okay, I got 2 stories that I can think of right now. Yes, I tweeted it, so if you follow me on Twitter, then you already know this. But did you guys see that Gamer Subs tweet? Not that they made it, but it was like a picture of the Gamer Subs truck. And then the tweet was like, get the fuck out of Pennsylvania. So I walk into the con on Saturday, and as soon as I walk in, I'm trying to get to the table that I'm helping out at, and I see the Gamer Subs table. I saw like they had like a huge tarp of Shy Lily. I was like, oh my god, VTuber! And then I turned the corner and I was like, oh, it's Gamer Subs! Wow! Gamer Subs is here! And I was like, that's pretty cool. I took a picture of the tarp, and then I went to sit down at my table, and right when I checked Twitter, the first tweet I saw was that get out of Pennsylvania tweet. I was like, no fucking way. I'm here! They're talking about the truck that's here! So if you saw that tweet, they were there because they were on their way to the convention I was at. Pretty cool. And then on the second day, on Sunday, I actually went to the Gamer Subs table to try some samples. I guess I didn't know what to expect. I didn't really know what Gamer Subs was. It's a energy drink, right? It's not like a protein shake or anything. It's just energy drinks, right? Well, it tasted okay. I'll just say that. I tried like 4 flavors. The mango one was pretty good, and there was a cucumber one that was pretty good, but the other flavors were really like a little too light. It didn't taste too good. There was a flavor called Grandpa's Ashes, and it tasted like grape cough syrup. So that's my Gamer Subs taste review. The Shy Lily one was okay. I feel like it wasn't that good. But the but the mango one and the cucumber one tasted pretty good. Oh my god, is that a star emote? It's so cute! I appreciate. Oh, I'm gonna sing one before you go. What about my story? Request more songs, guys. Request more songs. Caffeinated energy drinks. Oh, caffeinated too. Well, I drank way too much. I drank. Some people were going ham. Like they had like these little cups, the sample cups, and some people were filling it all the way up. But I drank one cup that was like filled halfway, and then I could barely drink the other flavors. I needed to. It was like a sip. Like I poured out like 1/8 of the cup, and it was like a tiny shot glass size. I can't drink. I can't hold too much liquid in me. It was way too much liquid, and I didn't eat anything before then too. Like that was like my first food of the day, so it was just all liquid. And I was talking to the guy at the table at the booth, and he was like, I was like, did you see that tweet? Did you see that GamerSauce tweet? He was like, yeah. He's like, I'm not on Twitter, but someone showed me it yesterday. He's like, was it you? I was actually the one. He was like, I was the one that drove the truck. So, I was like, oh my god, the legend. You're in a viral tweet. Congrats, bro. But yeah. And then I was looking at, they had like a sticker book, like a sticker pack book. I was flipping through it, trying to see if like any of my friends were in there. Because I know quite a few people who are, excuse me, collabing with them, of course. So I was trying to flip through them. He was like, let me know if you, I don't know. He was trying to chat me up, but I got shy and then I left. And I didn't get any freebies from him. But I guess I got the try gamer stuff, I guess. My problem with G-subs is that all the flavors are created, chosen, and support said creators to some extent. What does that mean? All flavors are created, chosen? Is that like a bad thing? Wow, thanks for the request, guys. Also, the My Ashes thing, I don't know, man. It was just called Grandpa's Ashes. The label was the meme of that old guy with his hands shrugging, like he's shrugging with his hands up. You know what I'm talking about? That was what they used for the packaging. Oh, because you don't like the creators? Okay, well, yeah. I mean, their whole gimmick is that they partner with creators. That's like the whole thing. So if you don't like it, then it's whatever. You know? And then, okay, how about okay, I'll sing a song so Steel can go to sleep and then I'll tell my second story. The other one was a toilet story, so oops. Thank you for the request. First one is from Steel. Pure Love and Kamarocho. Do we love this song? Do we love this song or what? I got it. Nah, actually a short stream is probably good. I gotta go eat. I haven't had dinner and I'm hungry. Kamarocho lyrics. Akiyama. No second story for me. Well, you said one song and then you go. Sound like you didn't want me to tell my story. Wait, my reverb's not on. Cha cha cha. Here we go. Hi CK, welcome in! You didn't miss the stream, we're still going. We just started karaoke. 男は気まぐれねだけどなぜだろうこの人だけは違うそう思えないネオン街が二人照らす運命さえ信じられる Oh man 手任せ恋は止まらない時に笑い時に迷い時に悩み共に紡ぐあなたとカムロ町恋のストーリーチャチャチャI'm not gonna lie, singing feels so weird with my ear blocked right now. It feels like I'm not singing. I'm not singing. It feels like something is right now. Something is not right. Ciao, ciao, ciao. Yippee! Thank you for the request. Oops. No, 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 no. I'm not singing that. Oh, I'm not singing that. Thank you for the request. Yeah, it just feels weird. Big sniff. It's the cha-cha-cha song. Yeah, hi CK, welcome in. Yeah, thanks for the request, Steel. Yeah, go, good night. Good night, Steel. I'll wait for Steel to go to bed before I tell my story. Machine gun kiss. We'll find it one day. I'll learn it one day. I mean, we'll get there. It's gonna take so long. Can't wait to play Kimami and have Misty hate Nishiki. Oh no, Steel. Oh my god, Oshi! Oh my god, really? Hey, you said it, not me. Wowie. Okay, fine. I guess I'll tell a poop story. Did you guys see my tweet? My tweet about the Teletubby? My Teletubby tweet? I literally use your Oshi mark on Twitter. I know, but I don't know. I thought maybe, you know, maybe you like the girl gang. I mean, we're all your Oshi. Hey, you know what? It feels nice to hear it out loud every once in a while. But yeah, good night, Steel, if you're going. My friend's friend who was tabling next to us, I didn't talk to her the entire con until the last day. I don't know, I thought maybe she didn't like me because we didn't really interact much, but I bought her bread. I bought her like Asian bread from the Asian bakery, and then I think it got a little better from there. But near the end of the con, my friend was like, Jazz, have you seen my friend's Teletubby? She's like, do you know Teletubby? I was like, yeah. She's like, do you know their names? I'm like, some of them, yeah. And then she's like, you have to look at her stickers. And I went around to the front of the table, and she had like these crazy Teletubby epoxy stickers. So epoxy stickers are like the stickers that are not flat. They have like resin coated. It's like the kind of puffy stickers. They have like the glossy coating that's like 3D. You know what I mean? They have, okay, so she had like these crazy Teletubby stickers, and they were all like, wait, I have them. Okay, so Tinky Winky was the purple one, the one that I shared on Twitter. It was Tinky Winky on the toilet. That one is the most realistic one for sure. We have the yellow one holding a rifle. We have the green one. Excuse me. The green one is holding like a cleaver with blood on it. Wait, there's two purple ones. Oh shit. There's the purple one on the toilet, and then Tinky Winky holding two knives. And then Poe, the red one, is like dead. Dead on the ground. Anyways, I ended up trading my bracelets for some of our merch, including the sticker set, the Teletubby sticker set. And then, I kid you not, 5 to 10 minutes after I got those stickers and I was looking at them and I put them away, I got hit with like this fucking tummy attack. I got hit with a tummy attack and I had to go to the bathroom. And, it was a gender-neutral bathroom. Gender-neutral bathroom, they had two entrances, like a left and a right. And they were both gender neutral, and I didn't know, I thought it didn't matter which side to go into, so I went to the left one. And I walked in there, and there were urinals, along with stalls. Okay, this is my first time in a gender neutral bathroom that had urinals. I've never been in one that had urinals before. It's always just been stalls and sinks to me. So I went in there, saw that there were urinals, I ducked into a stall, and I was furiously Googling. My Googles were like gender neutral bathroom with urinal. Can girls be in gender neutral bathrooms with urinals? Is it okay? And like I was so nervous, even though my tummy was hurting, I couldn't let it out. I was too scared. I was fucking terrified. I was like, what if I come out and I see a pee-pee? But I looked it up. It's normal, apparently. It's normal. It's a regular thing. It's just the first time that I have ever experienced that. And then I finally got to doing my business. But the entire time I was so scared that like I kept looking at the feet in the stall next to me because I was in like the wall stall. Like the stall that's hugging a wall on one side. So I only had one side to look to for someone's feet. And I'd be like, okay, those are pretty gender neutral shoes. Okay, those look a little more like feminine. I was like, oh no, that's a man's feet. Oh, I'm scared. You know what? I've never in my life ever thought about this because bathrooms has always been gendered for many years until recently. So I never really realized it, but being in like a female bathroom, like all of a sudden peeing next to guys, it was like kind of weird. It was freaking me out, okay? Also, American bathrooms suck, and they have like those huge like gaps in between the doors. So I was like, what if someone, you can kind of see someone. What if like, you can see within the bathroom stalls. Anyways, I waited until I thought it was clear before I left, but I was in the bathroom for like a long time because my tummy was hurting really badly. So, yeah. My friend texted me. She was like, someone's asking about your bracelets. She was like, what metals do you use in your bracelets? And I was like, she sent that at the same time as I sent her. I was like, bro, I'm living the Tinky Winky life right now. Like, out in the bathroom, dying. She was like, you're what? Yeah, why'd they do it like that is a mystery? Yeah. Freaking messed up and gross. Why did they do that? Well, anyways, it was my first time in a gender neutral bathroom that had urinals. Luckily, after I finished and I came back out, there was nobody outside, so I skedaddled my way out. I went back to my friend. I went back to the table, and she was like, which way did you go? And I was like, left. And she was like, oh, there were no urinals in the right stall, in the right side. I was like, what? Just my fucking luck. I went in the one that had urinals. Anyways, that's my other off-kai story. Any questions? While I queue up the next song, Left Space! Woo! Maybe they were gendered bathrooms converted to gender neutral? Maybe. I think so. I think you're right about that. I just didn't know it was normal. Like, it was my first time seeing that. But every search result I looked up said that it was normal. Like, that is normal. That can be possible. I've never experienced that before. The restroom gotcha. I didn't know. I walked in and I contemplated walking out, but then I just ducked into the bathroom because I was like, I think it'd be worse if they saw me coming out. But I was like, but it said gender neutral, so I should be fine. Anyways, Here's Love Space.
飛び散る恋のすべては君にもすぐに届くはず置いて走りさらばこの街夜空と一つになるまで変わる星の瞬きすべての愛を飾ろう掴んだら離れないよ僕らは宇宙へかけて旅行
Here we go!
置いて走りさらば僕らは宇宙へかけてゆけるララララララララララ
Ew! I just saw a chair. A really disgusting chair at Evo. Ew! It's like there's like pee on the chair, or like sweat. Ugh. Anyways, that's the end of the song. Ew! I was scrolling on Twitter. Big mistake. Anyways, that was Love Space. Thanks for the request, Anon! Thank you. Thank you. Uh-oh. That's not for me, that's not for me. Thank you to my coworker who's covering that event. Next song is the spinning song. Wow. You know, if I really want to cope, I think my one ear being blocked is kind of like, you know how like when singers put one put a hand up to their ear so that they can hear themselves sing better. I think that's kind of what's happening to me. I think that's what we're doing right now. Thank you for the patchoos. Thank you. Tsumugi. Tsumugi uta. Oh, you know what else happened at the con? I saw someone that went to my high school. I went to my first ever concert. I went to a BTS concert with her, but we don't talk anymore. But she showed up. She was there at con, and she was like in love with my friend's art. I had a mask on and I didn't say anything to her, so I was like keeping my mouth shut. But I was like, what the fuck? I haven't seen her in like 5 years. Or maybe more than 5 years. Way more than 5 years. Shit was crazy. And then I got to see a snake. Oops! Oh my god. Somebody brought their snake to our table. That was cool. What else? Literally nothing else happened. We sold stuff. That was fun. Alright. Good recap. Good con recap wrap up. Let's sing the spinning song. Oh, the pressure in my head. It's crazy. Inochi wa toki no naka wo nagare nagarete tokoshi e no kiroku wo utae no rasen ni tsurugi yuku watashi wa kono uta wo utai 切なの記憶を人の心に刻みゆくあられないえあられIsn't that the rest of the song? oh, no. That's okay. We got a little repeat. Inochi. Oh. Do I sing? You know, we'll just wait for the chorus. That's it. That's the song. Yippee! My Chrome died. Okay, we're okay. Yay! Thank you for the request, Oko! Thank you for the patchoos. Thank you, guys. Oh god, excusez-moi. Thank you for the request! Oh shit, now we got Alpha. Alpha with the Benita mask. Wow, 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 wow. TY, love it. Good taste, good taste. I love this song so much. I did like, this is really cringe. I did like a flute cover of this song like years ago. It was so bad. I was probably squeaking everywhere. But it's a beautiful song. Oh, here we go, here we go. Beneath the mask, beneath the mask. Yeah, I played the flute. Well, I don't play anymore. I played for like 8 years. But not anymore. Where have you been? Been searching all along. Been facing twilight on and on. Without a clue. Without a sign. Without grasping yet. The real question to be asked. Where have I been? I'm a shapeshifter. Apples masquerade, hiding both face and mind. I'll free for you to draw. I'm a shapeshifter. What else should I be? Please don't take off my mask, revealing dark. Hello, Toto Man. Welcome in. Wait, you can play flute too? Wow! I mean, my playing's probably really bad now. I still have it, but have not touched it in a few years. Moments of calm, nothing left to be found. A mirror right in front of me, that's where I find an empty glass, reflecting the sad truth. It's telling words not to be told. I need the mask. I'm a shapeshifter at post masquerade, hiding both face and mind. All free for you to draw. I'm a shapeshifter, chained down to my core. Please don't take off my mask, my place to hide. Oh my god, is that Cassie? Hi, Cassie! Everybody go check out Cassie, oh my god! Hello, hello, hello! How you doing? I love you too! I can't tell you how to see me. Just a cage of bones, there's nothing inside. Will it unleash me, burning down the walls? Is there a way for me to break? I'm a shapeshifter, apples masquerade, hiding both face and mind. All free for you to draw. I'm a shapeshifter, Please don't take off my mask, my disguise. And that was Beneath the Mask from Persona 5. Thank you for the request, Alpha. Thank you, thank you. Do I sound any different to you guys? Do I sound like I'm singing differently? I guess I'll be able to tell when I listen to the VOD, but I feel like it's a little different right now. Thank you for the patio! Patio! Oh my god, we're out of requests. It's time for me to look for something. Love that song, love hearing you sing it. Oh, thank you! I'm glad. I love singing that song. It's so chill. Probably just sounds different to you. We? You think so? I mean, yeah. Definitely. Sound good to me? Okay. Yeah, it's a weird feeling to get used to. Thank you, CK! Yeah, you know what? I'll pin that. If you guys want to request anything, otherwise, I'll look for a song. You know what? Let me check my Spotify. What do I know? What songs do I know? Oh! Fuyu no Hanashi? Any Given fans here? Any Yaoi fans here? Any P. Gagers fans here? Yeah. That'll be a filler song. P. Gagers. It's cute. I had an email that I was thinking of adding after watching an NL stream today, but I don't remember what it was now. I gotta write this stuff down. Yaoi fans? Just for you, Cassie, do you like Given? Okay. まだ溶けきれずに残った日陰の雪みたいな思いを抱いて生きてるね僕はこの恋をどんな言葉で閉じたらいいのあなたのすべてが明日をなくして永遠の中をさまよっているよさよならできずに立ち止まったままの僕と一緒にまだ解けない魔法のようなそれとも呪いのような重い荷物抱えてるね僕はこの街でどんな明日を 冷たい涙が空でいてついて優しいふりして舞い落ちる頃に離れた誰かと誰かがいたことただそれだけの話あなたのすべてが形をなくしても永遠に僕の中で生きてくよさよならできずに歩き出す僕のずっと一緒にWow, that was Fuyu no Hanashi. I didn't watch Given. I'm a fake Yaoi fan. It's okay. It's okay. I don't remember too much of Given, but it was pretty angsty. I think angsty and like kind of like a young people learning about their feelings, but it was pretty good. I feel like no, it wasn't bad at all, and the music was really good. The music was super good. Like the original song for that, the cover I just sang, is so good, and they have this one really banging song. Wait, let me show you guys. It's called Seasons, and I want to inject this song into my veins. It's so good, but it's so short. It's only a minute long. Oh, bye, Nan! I mean, bye, Nan! Gotta go eat durian. Hope you have a nice durian time. Enjoy! Oh man, durian. The durian burps are so bad for me. This part! The guitar is so juicy, man. Wait, actually, I lied. My favorite part's coming up. This part. It's so good, but it's so short. They put it in the song as like one of their like warm-up songs, I guess. Like they were practicing the song to like show off the animation, I guess, like the band animation. Given is if you don't know, it's a band anime. Yeah, these guys play in a band, and it's gay. But it's pretty angsty. It's got like I guess it feels a bit more realistic rather than like too drama-y. It's just people figuring out life and romance as a young body, you know. But yeah, that song, my favorite song in the series. And it's so short. Odd time signatures. It does jump around a lot. Yeah. All the music in that anime is so good. So good. Oh, thank you for the patchus, by the way. For the private song. Wow, thanks for the request too. Thanks, guys. Cinema was not the emote. What does cinema look like? When do you use that? Why is it so long? Do we want this? Do we want this one? It was not cinema. It was something else. I can't remember what it was. When something is cinema. It was not Glorp. Let me look on the front page. Glep? It was not it. Oh, it was Kaka! Do we have Kaka? I remember. Okay, I'm adding Kaka. We have Kaka now. I feel like it'd be useful, you know? You know what I mean? We have it now, yippee! Alright. Request time. Shiryoku Kensa? Dang, so cool. You and I, we got similar taste. I mean, I know I put the songs on there, but got good old Vocaloid taste. Yeah. You guys know the song? It's called Eyesight Test. If you haven't been to your optometrist, I recommend going at least once every 3 years. Gotta watch out for glaucoma. You know what I'm saying?
隠した方の左目にどんな僕を映し出すの。開いた方の右目だけ本当の僕は見えないでしょう。視力検査20歳の僕がいたずらに微笑む。忘れないで君の中に偽物の僕がいる。指さして教えてよ。君の目には見えてるでしょ。僕の心の隙間ぼやけて見えるのなら目を閉じてからはないから君が思うままにピョンピョンミュミュミュミュミュミュミュミュ
Why does it kind of sound like Nude?
ニョンピョンニョン正しく僕を愛せるように君の目を正したくて使い古したそのグラスは本当の僕は見えないでしょう。視力検査消えかけの僕が悲しげに微笑む。忘れないで君の中に本当の僕がいる。目に映るものだけを信じることしかできない僕の君の同じだ。だからこそ今だけはその心に焼き付けてよ。ない僕は
I think I did that too early. I think I did the ad-lib too early.
少しずつ見えなくなったあの頃は見えた景色変わったの君の方がそれとも自分の方が 指さして教えてよ君の目には見えてるんでしょ僕の心の隙間がぼやけて見えるのならこの胸に手を当て君に伝えるなら本当の僕は
Did I do that right?
なななダダダダダダダダダダダ
Woohoo! I love the xylophone sound effect. Xylophone? Excuse me. Thank you for the request, Soko! Blast from the past. Oh shit! Oh my god. Way of a Life next? You know, I was thinking about this song. I was like, maybe I want to sing this too. Wait, it was not the song. Sorry, wrong song. I was thinking of a different song. Wait, am I? Oh, I was thinking of the new song. The new Persona 3 song? What's it called? Look up in the sky. Ask a lot of why. Look up in the sky. Ask a lot of why. Never let it faze me, you. Never let it faze me. I'm keeping good vibes. Color Your Night. I was thinking of Color Your Night. Dang, does Persona have a lot of 3-word songs? Or what? Thank you for the pachus! Make my night so much better with your singing. Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad. Thank you for requesting the songs. I am happy to sing them. It's great practice for me too. Okay, Way of Life. No, wait, I love Way of Life too. It's a good song. Ba, 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 ba. Right? But some of the songs always remind me of the guy that would play P5 songs every day during college art class. Every day? With no headphones? That's just fucked up. College art class. Good times. Oh, have a nice dinner, Alpha! Grab that dinner. Ba 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 da ba. Na 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 da. Midday street walks, lights fell and dispersed in the air. Nobody stopped to see them fade. Your eyes seem so innocent. Everything made sense to you. They didn't to me. Deep inside my mind, I didn't compromise just for the love. Deep inside my mind, believe in your words. Way of life, way of life. I heard you say we were on the same street. Way of life, the way my life. Midday street walks, lights fell and dispersed in the air. Nobody stopped to see them fade. Your eyes seem so innocent. Everything made sense to you. They didn't to me. Deep inside my mind, I didn't compromise just for love. Deep inside my mind, believe in your words. Way of life, way of life. I heard you say we were on the same street. Way of life, way of my life. Oh, that's it. Thank you for the request. Thank you. Oh, it was a class playlist. Dude, I'm so scared to put any of the music I like on and stuff like that. That reminds me though. When I worked as a boba barista, there was one time it was just me and this one other coworker. Excuse me. She was like big Blackpink fan, but at the time Blackpink only had 4 songs, so she put their entire discography of 4 songs on the store playlist and kept it on loop the entire shift. It was like 5 hours of just those 4 songs looping. I was so fucking sick of Blackpink by the end of that shit. I was like, I fucking hate this. I was too scared to suggest like changing the music, but I was so pissed. I was so sick of it. It was torture. It was torture. Only 4 songs. Thank you for the pachus. Oh, hi Q-Tim. Hi Bueno. Wait, were you guys here earlier? Welcome back. Wait, we didn't talk about Q-Tim's edit yet. Did you guys see Q-Tim made another Pog edit of a cursed stream moment? No way, you don't want me to talk about it? But it was so funny. Your editing is so good. Honestly, I feel a little bad. I don't know if that clip was super edit worthy. I mean, maybe the twist was good for people who haven't seen the tweet. I don't know if I was funny though. Oh my god. I'm back. I caught you. I got the link. Oh yeah, the link is in the Discord too. But can we watch it? Q-Tim, why? What's wrong? Aren't you proud of what you've done? If you look up here, I'll play it. I'll play it and I'll link it. What if I'm gonna start making a playlist. Oh my god, I can make a playlist of edits. Wow! Here's the link. Wait, that's the original link. Here's the YouTube link. Now, if you don't mind, I'll play it out loud. It's only 45 seconds. It's only 45 seconds, but I'm sure it took forever to edit, so we should appreciate it. Midday street walks, lights fell and dispersed in the air. Oh, it's blurred out. Wow, that's crazy. It's like Stream. No, let me pull this up on a different different window. There we go. Great, now you can see my recommended stuff. Great. Wow, July 14th. Q-Tim is so fast. This was only a few days ago. This is like librarian level. Librarian level edits. Sheesh, that's me! Here we go. Did you see that tweet? Oh god, even my voice sounds weird because of my ear being clogged. The teacher saw yaoi on that plate that one of the students drew. Do you think if I type in yaoi it'll just show up? Hello! God, do not type in yaoi! Wait, I'll replay that part. Thank you for the sub! Welcome in. Thank you. Enjoy the chat emotes. We're replaying this. Did you see that tweet? Let me grab it. That tweet where the teacher saw yaoi on that plate that one of their students drew. Do you think if I type in yaoi it'll just show up? Oh god, do not type in yaoi into Twitter. I love I don't actually know what Jazz saw at the top. Okay, it's okay. I'll just go through my likes. What were you thinking? I wasn't
The scroll too. The scrolling in the corner.
What were you thinking? I wasn't thinking. Can you tell? Oh, I found it. I found the tweet. Mina-san. Found this paper by one of my kids and was immediately taken aback, so I asked him what was written on it. He was confused because he didn't write anything at all. He drew a picture of a fork, knife, plate, napkin, and spoon. I was like, oh, okay, never mind. Straight up yaoi. Did you? Straight up yaoi. It's an amazing edit, right? Thank you, Kyutem. Thank you. Thank you so much. I love these edits. They're so fun. I've been meaning to make... I have like a couple edit ideas, but I'm just so busy. I'm so busy. I don't have the time. I'm trying to get like another cover out too. I really don't have time, but thank you for making these little edits. They're so good. I love them. Even though I'm not big. Thank you. Shout out to Lur for the Lur edit too. Late to the stream, no worries, welcome in. I did stream pretty early today compared to usual. Honestly though, is it hard to watch? What do you mean hard to watch? Made you nauseous? Like the movement? I don't think so.
You see?
What would make it hard to
God,
watch?
do not type in yaoi into Twitter. Oh, I wasn't.
I don't think there's not too much movement or anything. Found this anything at all. Like, oh, I don't know. Yaoi. Oh no, I don't know. I think it was fine. It's fine for me. So I saw that you sent that in the Discord while I was at the con. So I was sitting there at the I was sitting there behind the table on my behind the table on my phone. I was like, oh my god. I was like, I want to watch it so bad. I tried playing it, but it was too loud at the con. And that's why subtitles are great. We love subtitles. Thank you for the subtitles. Yeah. Yeah, just wanted to shout that out. Thank you. I appreciate it a lot. They're so fun to watch. I'm glad that I'm clippable enough. And thank you, Alpha, for the original clip. Good times, good times. Q-Tim, if you ever open clip commissions again, let me know. Edit commissions, let me know. I feel like I say that every time, but thank you. Okay, back to the karaoke. We have Kazedinaru. What if I did this one? This one? By Nathaniel, the guitarist. Okay. Okay, I think I can do it. No guides. That's fine. I can do it. I know, I say it every time. I'm not ready yet. Okay, no worries. No worries. Either way, I appreciate it. I had like a Baldur's Gate edit I really wanted to make. It was the one with Will, where we double crossed him. That was so good. I think I missed it again. When do I sing? Oh no. Hold on. What? Surely this time.
"忘れていた目を閉じて取り戻せ恋の歌」「青空に隠れている手を伸ばしてもう一度」「忘れないですぐそばに僕がいるいつの日も」「星空を眺めている一人きりの夜明けも」たった一つの心悲しみにくれないで君のため息なんて春風に変えてやる日の当たる坂道を自転車で駆け上る君と見つけた幸せ花のように
Oh la la la.
口ずさむ唇染めてゆく君と見つけた幸せ花のように 忘れていた窓をはげて走り出せ恋の歌青空に託している手をかざしてもう一度忘れないよすぐそばに君がいるいつの日も星空に輝いてる涙揺れる明日もたった一つの言葉この胸に抱きしめて君のため僕は今春風に吹かれてる日の当たる坂道を自転車で駆け上る君と誓った約束乗せてゆくよラララララ口ずさむ唇染めてゆく君と出会えた幸せ祈るように
I can breathe.
の渡る坂道を自転車で駆け上る君と誓った約束乗せてゆくよラララララ口ずさむ唇染めてゆく君と出会えた幸せ祈るように君と出会えた幸せ祈るように
Buddha! I love that cat. Isn't that his name? Buddha, right? Not Puta? Wait, isn't Puta a bad word? No, Buddha. Buddha. Buddha's the fat cat. Yippee! That was Cousin Inaru from the popular Ghibli movie. Or Ghibli. The Cat Returns. Yo, I had a crush on the Baron when I was a kid. Welcome back, Cassie! Hi, Winnie! Hello, welcome in. Hello. What's up, girl? Excuse me. Thank you for the patchoos. Thank you. Puto is a bad word in Tagalog. I'm sorry. Doesn't it mean like vagina or something? Oh, does it mean bitch? Shit, I'm sorry. I love Buta. Baron is so cute. Yeah! If you had a crush on the bear, does that mean you're a furry? There was a bear? There's a bear. Hey, I might be halfway there. I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm halfway to being a furry. But the thing is, you know what? I think the difference is just like between Western and Eastern furries. Cause like when I see like Western furry art like from American artists, I'm not really into it. I don't really, and like the fursuits, I'm not really into their. I don't really like how they look. But like the JP and like Chinese furry artists, why did they just looks better to me? I don't know. Is it a specific type of furryism? Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I've been here. Oh! Hi, Cassie. Thank you. Oh, I said Baron. I think that's what you were... Baron. The cat Baron? Baron. Not bear. Jazz is a furry? I don't know if I want to, why the labels? Maybe I'm halfway there. Is there a term for like halfway? I don't know if I like them all furry. I don't know if I like it all furry. You know what I mean? The abs are nice. I don't know. Lycone? I don't know. I don't know, guys. I have to pee again. Thank you for the request, CK. Thank you. Just a little fuzzy, yeah. Maybe a little fuzzy. I don't know. Do you guys know what I mean? I'm sure if I pulled up art, you guys would understand what I mean. Like American furries and what, like Eastern furries are really different. And I'm like, you know, I can kind of see the appeal of Eastern ones, but I don't know about Western ones. Okay, but I do like Blade from Elden Ring. What does that say about me? When are you gonna do a Pokemon Smash reverse? No, wait! That's gonna be so bad for my reputation! That's gonna ruin me! What would you guys think of me? I've had this talk with Wisty before! There's an artist I like. There's an artist I like that draws that stuff. Vaporeon? No, not for me. Not for me. Make it a collab stream. Ah! You know what? I'll DM her right now. Hey girl, how do you feel about a Pokemon Smash Pass collab? Monka S. Oh my god, is that Maiko? Hello! Hi! Wow, thank you for the request. Lucario? He's okay. Why do I hear a whale barking in the background? Do you really? It's not me. Oh, Trim! Hi, Trim! Thank you for the posture and the hydrate. Actually, I think your hydrate is gonna put me over the limit. I have to pee so bad. It's not worth it. Wait, what's not worth it? Machamp? I don't really... Machamp is okay. I think he's too ganky looking. He is buff. Also, he's like the most humanoid. So that's like a plus, right? That's like the least weird. Or maybe it's weirder because he's humanoid. Thank you for the bathroom break team. I needed this. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you. You just saved me from this awkward talk. I'll be right back. And I'll do the request when I'm back. You're so valid though. I'm a huge fan of JP fursuits, but not a huge fan of Western ones. Yes, I agree. They look really good. The Japanese ones. Also, the Chinese furry artists go crazy. You know that artist that draws like the hot hyenas in tactical suits? Okay, anyways. Enjoy the furry chat. I'm not gonna be a part of this. I'll be back. Hello, everybody. Oh no. Nobody talked. She literally said hyenas and tactical suits, and I'm not a part of this in the same breath. What's wrong with that? I was hoping you guys would talk about something else. Thanks. Thanks, guys. Webba, thank you. Anyways. Let's just say I'm on the edge. Haha, I'm edging. Haha. Okay. Anyways. Every heart! Sorry, and Bedge. Oh yeah. Miss Trim, good night. Good night, Grandpa. Every heart. Karaoke. What? What's wrong? Why sunglass? What happened? Never mind. No time for questions. It's time to sing. Is this loud enough? Wait, actually, you know what? I'm curious. Is there a version with the backup vocals? I want the backup vocals. There's no backup vocals? Alright, fine. Every heart 素直になれるだろう The lyrics are wrong In this video 思いを伝えたな Every heart どの生み出されるのだろう長い長い夜に怯えていた遠い星に祈ってた強くなりたいから今日も高い空見上げているどんな笑顔に出会えたな Every heart 夢を吹いてるの人は悲しみの向こうに Every heart 幸せ浮かべて眠る Wait, is this right? なななななれるように巡る巡る時の中で僕たちは生きて何かをする時には来過ごしないで今日もまだ歩き続けている Why are the lyrics so fucked up? 星たちが話す未来はいつも輝いていた So shine 巡る巡る時の中で僕たちは愛を探している強く強くなりたいから今日も高い空見上げている
は生きて何かを知る時に笑い過ごしないで今日もまた歩き続けてゆく
I think I did it too early. Oh no, it was fine. I don't know what the fuck she does. Boa pops the fuck off at the end. I fucked up the lyrics so much. I was using a different video than usual, and they may have written the lyrics wrong every time. Like every line. It's like one of those videos where they type out what they think it sounds like, except instead of the actual lyrics. Anyways, we tried. Thank you for the pachos. This Q is my childhood. TY. Oh, thank everybody who requested these songs. Yeah, banger. Thank you for the request, Alpha. Also, what did Trim say earlier? Wait, you're back to EST? Midnight is a normal time to sleep, although grandpa allegations also true. Sigh. It's okay. It's okay. We love grandpas. We need some diversity. You know? Ooh, Life. Life by Yui. Oh, this is kind of off topic, but since we're on the topic of old songs, do we have any Ikimonogatari fans? Does anybody know her song Nokuri Kaze? I really like that song, but I'm scared that no one's gonna know it, so I never added it to my queue. But it's a song from an obscure Bleach game on the DS. You know what? Fuck it, I'll add it right now. I'll add it. Just in case someone knows it in the future. Oh, but it's from like an old DS game, an old Bleach DS game that I really loved. Bleach, the Third Phantom. Such a good freaking song. Anyways, ESD for a couple months. Okay. Oh my god, Trim in my area. In my area. You know, despite listening to that freaking those 4 Blackpink songs, I don't know if I can actually sing any of their songs. Oh, I know a little bit of Whoo! The song that goes Whoo! something with black? Black. Oh, it's called Playing with Fire. It didn't have black in it, I'm sorry. Something with black and pink. Got back just time to hear the tail end of my request. Wow, congrats Alpha. Sorry you missed the beginning part of it. Oops. Welcome back, welcome back. You finished my critter. Wait. I'm checking on Twitter. My commission. Oh my god! Seeker! This is so cute! This is so cute! CK! I love it so much! I love it so much! Can we use it right now? Oh my god! Guys! You made it into a gift! I love it so much! Thank you! Got border. Ooh, we got a version with a border too. Oh my god. It's everything I wanted! Yes, yes. I hope your bills are going okay. Gamba, thank you for making this. I love it. Okay. I'm sharing it. Ah! Look at how cute it is. Be sure to commission CK, guys. If you got a couple extra bucks and you want to commission a little something. I think They will not be moving like this. Maybe CK did a little extra because I give a little extra. I don't know, but you can expect a PNG, right? Right? I don't want to overkill the expectations. It's so cute. And then here's the version with the border. In case it gets really crazy. Oh my god, it's like a sticker! So cute! I'm gonna put her right here. Maybe not covering chat so much. Here we go. A corner sticker. I love it! Thank you so much! Yeah, everybody go check out CK! Who also drew my PNG and Cassie's PNG. And stars. Tiny red flower crown. Flower crown, that's just my crown. I mean, that's just my flower. Yeah, and stars. Thank you, CK, I love it! I love how the eyes are like kinda eepy. It's perfect. Me, every time I commission someone, I'm like, please don't make me too ganky. Please, oh please, oh please. Whew. What a rush of serotonin. Thank you. I love it. She's so cute! Okay. Now, let's sing. Live! I remember the EPI request. Thank you! Alright. Life. Yui. So crunchy. This one's also in Bleach, right? Oh yeah, Bleach 5th engine. Excuse me.
泥だらけよ馴染めない都会で同じように笑えないうついて歩いた急ぎ足ですれ違う人たち夢は叶えましたか私まだもがいている
Oh my god, thank you for the rainbow day! 子供の頃に戻るよりも今はうまく生きてみたい横上がりは生まれつき日の当たる場所に出て両手を広げてみたならあの空越えて行けるかななんて思ったんだ飛び立つための翼それはまだ見えない簡単にいかないから聞いてゆけThank you for the raid! Welcome in everybody! Elden Raid! Oh my god. Did you win? Hi birthday! Welcome in! Hi everybody, my name is Jasmine. I'm a teruterujasu who loves to sing and we're doing some character right now! Hope you had a good stream! I don't know where I am. Oh wait, I can just look at the screen. Oh my god! Naked men on the video.
愛されたい愛されたい僕に私言ってたいよね求めれば
Wait, let me show you guys.
ダメね
Wait, what is this video? Please don't bully?
なななななななななバラババラババラバババなななななないません物語る場所に出てこの手を強く握ってみたあの場所あの時を壊して I can change my life でも心の中すべてをとっても伝えない簡単にいかないから聞いてゆけ日の当た 場所に出て地図を広げてみるけど I know you know 迷い道も仕方ない I can change my life 過ぎてきた日々全部で今も私なんだよ簡単にいかないから聞いてゆけ
I think that's it. Yay! I won? Let's go! But that left me losing? Oh. What happened? What happened? What happened, dude? Bam, 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 bam. Boom. Now we're here to enjoy jazz, okay? Thank you! Thank you for bringing your community over. Welcome, everybody. Sorry for my super scuffed introduction. If you'd like to request a song, we have the song list pin. As the pin message, feel free to request. Is it bad that I think I know who the guy on the left is? Who is it? Do you actually know? Second boss fight? Oh no. Who's the second? Does that actually go in order? Can't you fight them whatever order you want to? Pachi, thank you! Thank you for the pachus! Thank you for the lovely singing. I had such a nostalgic feel. Yeah. Thank you for the request! Wait. Yeah, okay. Gustav, thank you for the Yui request. Okay, Forte, who is this guy? Without me unblurring it, who is this guy? I know who that is. Yeah. I know who it is. Oh my god, you're right! You know! He's from Hakuoki, yeah. That's Okita. Okita from the Shinsenku. I can hear the rain again, wow! But yeah. I looked over and I was like, no fucking way, it's Okita and Saito. I almost said Saito Soma. Oh, Saito Hajime. Yeah. He's behind me. But I wasn't looking at the video, I just clicked on the video and then I went to look at the lyrics and I clicked back in on the video and it was them. I was like, naked men. But yeah, thank you again for the raid, Forte. Hope you got some good rest. Hydrate up. Thank you. And thank you for giving the shoutouts, Kashi. Thank you. Okita might be loathed. I understand. He's stinky, but we still like him. I hope that's what you mean.
愛されたいばかり
Next we got your Platina! Wow, Michael's request! Naked Shinsengumi, they're too hot for this world. Good times. I remember I found like, well actually I can't talk about it, it's too spicy. I shouldn't even bring it up. It's whatever. I love the Shinigami in all forms. Platina lyrics. I'm glad he got lung butter. No! How could you say that? I cried so hard for him. So Hakuoki was like my first exposure to Shinsengumi. Actually, was it? No, I lied. Rejets Shinsengumi Wasure Nagusa Mokhiroku drama CD series was my first exposure. And then I found Hakuoki. But I cried so hard. I cried for Okita so hard. And then when I watched Gintama, I didn't know at the time that Gintama was like a parody, like only parodies. So when Okita showed up, I was like, no, he's gonna die! And then they killed his sister instead. I was like, oh. Damn. My fave? Good taste, good taste. Share? Maybe another time. It was just another drama CD series for the Shinsengumi. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Here's Platinum from Card Captor Sakura. I missed the cue because I was talking. Sorry.
I am a dreamer. He's on the power. 私の世界夢と恋と不安でできてるでも想像しないもの隠れてるはず空に向かう危機のようにあなたをまっすぐ見つめ見つけたいな叶えたいな信じるそれだけで超えれないものはない歌うように奇跡のように思いが全てを変えてゆくよきっと驚くくらいI am a dreamer. He's on the power.まだ見ぬ世界そこで何が待っていてももしも理想と違っても恐れはしない鳥たちは風に乗り旅をしてゆく今日から明日へと伝えたいな叫びたいなこの世に一つだけの存在である私祈るように星のように小さな光だけどいつかはもっと強くなりたいパンパンパラパラパンパン限界のない可能性がここにあるこの手に It's gonna be your world
So true. Remember, your life is your own.
見つけたいな叶えたいな信じるそれだけで超えれないものはない歌うように奇跡のように思いが全てを変えてゆくよきっと驚くくらいマママ
Thank you for the request, Michael! That was Platina or Platinum from Card Captor Sakura. We love our Card Captor Sakura, don't we, fellas? Yes, we do. What was your guys' favorite card? I think I really wanted Jump. Jump was pretty nice. Cause it's like not exactly flying, but you get to leap really, really, really far and high. Pot of green. Hello? Not that card. Card after card. Windy. Wait, really? Wait, what did Windy do? Just gust of wind? What was Windy's episode? Known as one of the most powerful cards. Ooh. Create strong winds. Can be used to blow away objects or bind creatures. Oh, binding too. Pretty cool. Windy was really pretty. Meow, 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 meow. Meow, 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 meow. Okay, oh shit, we got Dear You coming up next. Requested by Trim. Dear You. Instrumental. Wow, 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 wow. Excusez-moi. Let's go.
あなたは今どこで何をしていますかこの空の続く場所にいますか
Number one song that makes me drool is here.
今まで私の心埋めていたもの失って初めて気づいたこんなにも私を支えてくれていたことこんなにも笑顔をくれていたこと失ってしまった代償はとてつもなく大きすぎて取り戻そうと必死に手を伸ばしてもがくけれどまるで風のようにすり抜けて届きそうで届かない孤独と絶望に胸締め付けられ心が壊れそうになるけれど思い出に残るはあなたの笑顔が私はいつも励ましてくれるピュンピュンピュンピュンペレペレピュンピュンピュンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワンワン That's so high. Hello, Kaza, welcome in. もう一度あの頃に戻ろう。今度はきっと大丈夫。いつもそばで笑っていよう。あなたのすぐそばで。あなたは今どこで何をしていますか。この空の続く場所にいますか。いつものように笑顔でいてくれますか。今はただそれを願い続ける。Yay! Thank you for the request, Turin! Or as Cassie might say,
roll my R's. I can't. I'm sorry. I tried. Now that was a lot of spit. Have a nice night. Good night, Trim. Sleep well. Thank you for hanging in there. And thank you guys for the patchos. Thank you. Yeah. Is that the sound of rain? It's drool. God damn, that's a lot of drool. Oh, thank you for the posture and the hydrate, Q10. I love Cassie. I love Cassie. Good old stretch. All right. Lastly, Hokiboshi karaoke. This one, I'm a little bit hard. A little bit hard to do. I don't know it that well. Oh shit. Tetris still karaoke, let's go. Oh, what do you mean? Yeah, we're still karaoke, yeah. Isn't it crazy that my headache went away? Is this what streaming does to me? It makes my headaches go away. That attempt K-word to me, I'm so sorry. Please don't listen. It was so bad. I can't roll my R's. I'm doing it! Oh, it's gone. Trim. But I can't do it with a T, bro. I can do it with a bra. How do you do it? How do I make this a transferable skill? How do I graduate from B? Trim says he needs to change his name. Trim. I'm kind of doing it. Sorry, did you want it back? Wait, what back? What happened? Hi, Ken. I don't know what's happening. Let's try it! Oh no, you made the clip. This clip is mainly for me. Okay, enjoy. Thank you for the clip, Trim. Yeah, I'm kind of doing it, right? Help. I can't do anything with my tongue. I can't roll my R's. I can't whistle. I can't tie a cherry stem with my tongue. What's the point? I'm making weird noises again. I'm trying to roll my R's. Anyways. Oh, that's true. I'm a super taster. Did you guys know that? Did I tell you guys about that? I'm a super taster. I have like 1,000,000 taste buds on my tongue. Anyways.
夜空見上げ一人大き星を見たの一瞬で弾けては消えてしまったけどあなたのこと思うと胸が痛くなるの今すぐ会いたいよだけど空は飛べないからもし私が気持ちになれたならば空駆け抜け飛んでゆくどんな明日が来てもこの想いは強いだからほうき星ずっと壊れないよ雨が降って嫌だとぼやいていた時にあなたが言ったこと今でも覚えてる雨の後の夜空は綺麗に星が出るそれを考えると雨の好きになれるよねとし私が大き星になれたならば溢れる光降らすよいつも悲しい時夜空見るあなたが笑顔になるよ たい
If there's a bridge in the song, I do not know how to sing it at all.
あなたはいつも一人何かと戦ってるそばにいることしか私にはできないけどもし私が気持ちになれたならば空駆け抜け飛んでゆくきっと必ず届くこの一瞬の光であなたの今照らし空を願う風が気持ちになれたならばきっとそばにいてあげるどんな時も
Thank God. Thank God we made it. With minimal mistakes. Oh my God. Yo, that meeting message, that Google Calendar, the timing was so good. Damn. Thank you for the request, Forte. I really gotta master that song so I don't embarrass myself. You did amazing. Thank you. Thank you for the request. Thank you for the pachus. PTSD. I'm so sorry. Dang, does everybody use Google Calendar? I only started using it for work this year. Before then, I was just writing everything down in my physical calendar. Oh, excuse me. Okay, more right. Oh my God, thank you for the request. Actually, have I asked this before? Do you prefer Kazuha or Lilac? I think of the Genshin guy when I think of Kazuha. Okay, Mori. All for work. Yeah, that makes sense. Me too. Only this year though, for me. Fukai. Mori. I should add more Inuyasha songs. Yo, I'm at that part in Inuyasha where Inuyasha is super freaking annoying. He's like, oh, guys! I just checked my email. Your Twitch account, teruterujasu, has been warned. Hey, how did they find out? Guys, how did they find out? Did somebody report me? Based on a review of your activity or content, we have issued a warning on your account. Sexual thieves! No! How did they find out? Who told them? There's a snitch! There's a snitch in here! That's what got you a warning, not the Baldur's Gate. I think it's because Baldur's Gate it's part of the game, so it's okay. Man, do you think that part's gonna be gone in the VOD? Oh, they saw Otome Wednesdays? No. Okay, to be fair, I take some responsibility for that. I wanted to show everybody a Monogatari clip. We were talking about it earlier. This girl was boobly. Nothing was shown though, I mean. I think I'll just delete those. Wait, you didn't publish the clips yet? Alpha, you might as well do it. I wonder if they'll take down the clips. I mean, I already got warned, right? The clip is okay, right? It'd be so funny if it was Silas. No, there's no way. I'm not the only person streaming Silas. Yeah, the clip from earlier. It was crazy. Oh shit, Pink Bobo, hello! Welcome. Why did you request a timeout? Cassie, would you like to do the timeout? I didn't, just in case it led to trouble. Oh, thanks, Alpha. It's okay. It already happened. I guess you can post it. You know, we can post it for the memories. Already on it. Thank you, Cassie. I'm gone. Twitch snipers, bro. That's probably why everybody got that, everybody who was in chat earlier got that, like, content, oops, sorry, that warning on my channel that said that this is like a adult, like, oh wait, it was something content warning. Because it says this email came in 2 hours ago. It's still here. May contain. Hey! How do they know? I'm so curious. How do they know? Do they have like an AI that's checking for like boobs? Or like how did they tell? How could they tell? It didn't even. There wasn't even any yips. And the audio wasn't that bad, right? Whatever. Anyways. We're okay. It's just a warning. We're okay. Well, I will never do it again. The boobo is so... It was crazy. I want the job of whoever trained the boob detector. Yeah, that's crazy. Booba. My DMMD Twitch stream is compromised. Mayhaps. Actually, I think you'll be okay because it's a game. I was literally just showing like a scene from a movie, an anime movie. Anyways, here's Fukai Mari. Anyways, here's Wonderwall. They freaking got my ass, and I thought I was okay because I was a small account too.
深い深い森の奥に今もきっと置き去りにした心隠してるよ探すほどの力もなく疲れ果てた人々は永遠の闇に消える小さいままならきっと今でも見えたかな僕たちは生きるほどになくしてく少しずつ偽りや嘘をまとい立ちすくむ
Also, Alpha, if you post the clips, feel free to send them here. We can show everybody what we did earlier.
青い青い空の色も気づかないまま過ぎてゆく毎日が変わってゆく作られたわがな覚え今も生きて錆びついた心また動き出す大きなリズムを知ればもう一度飛べるだろう僕たちはさまよいながら生きてゆくどこまでも信じてる光またね歩き出す君と今
What's so funny? I'll tell you after this song. Hi Grapefruit, welcome in! Such Shomaro looking into the distance, so true! The ending. Me when I'm Sashomer looking into the distance.
「僕たちは生きるほどにな くしたく少しずついきなりや嘘をまとい立ちすくむ声もなく僕たちはさまよいながら生きてゆくどこまでも塗り替える道を閉ざし歩いてく永遠に立ちすくむ恋もなく生きてゆく永遠に
Okay, nice vibrato at myself. Yippee! Thank you for the request. But wait, both are okay. Okay. How about I call you Lilac then? If Kazo has your mans, I feel like I shouldn't call you Kazo. Is it just me? I feel a little weird. Yeah. Thank you for the request. Thank you. Also, a fellow silence enjoyer. Welcome. Although I finished the Love and Deep Space update, so I probably won't be streaming it for a while until they have another event going on. It'll be back to Wednesday. Otome Wednesdays this week is that new game demo, and then Twisted Wonderland. Twisted Wonderland! Yeah, more Otome lovers, let's go! Gather the Otome army. Tobirawo Akete! I love that song too. Tobirawo Akete karaoke. I am not saying Down by the River today yet. How funny that you mentioned that. Looks like it's free for the taking. Ripe for the plucking. That quote makes me sound so old. I feel so old saying it. It's just like an old person line. Ripe. Oh, it's from. That quote's from that cult guy in Yakuza 0. The Shurapipi guy. He's like, no, she was ripe for the plucking. Anyways. Tobirawo Akate. Down by the river. So true. Everybody remember to check out Cassie's cover of that song? Down by the river. You know what, just check out Cassie in general. That's Pog too. As you should. Alright, Tobirawo Akate. Open the door. Actually, what's the translation of this song? Open the door. Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, Cassie look. Jazz look. That's right. Of course, I love you! Okay, here we go. Tobirawo Akate! Oh shit. Is that a little loud?
It's alright 大丈夫奇跡だって起せる Here we go 行こうよ翼広げきっと何かがどこかで出会える日を待ってる Dreaming そして扉が開くよ Yeah いざとなると何も言えない喋りたいのに声も聞きたくて心だね慌ててる青い 空に飛行機雲をつないだ手に湧いてくるパワーどこだって行けそうだよ風に乗って It's alright 大丈夫大丈夫大丈夫奇跡だって起こせる Here we go 行こうよ行こうよ行こうよ翼広げきっと何かがどこかで出会える日を待ってる Jamie そして扉が開くよなんでもない恋しでさえ不思議だよね宝石に変わる一緒にね見てるだけでみんな光る Top secret 大好きな大好きな大好きな瞬間が増えてゆくとっても小さな小さな小さな種になってきっと心のどこかで大きな花が咲き始めてるDreamy そして世界は開く大丈夫大丈夫大丈夫奇跡だって起こせる Here we go 行こうよ行こうよ行こうよ翼広げきっと何かがどこかで出会える日を待ってる Dreamy そして扉が開くよ
Oh shit, I forgot to tell you guys what I laughed at earlier. Yippee, that was Toido Agade! Thank you for the request, Soko! During Fukai Mori, I was laughing because I was thinking, what if Alpha sends the clip and then I watch it on stream and then that clip, watching it on stream, gets me another warning. That's what I was thinking of earlier. In the middle of the song. So that's why I started laughing. Oh my god, Wisty responded! She said, not gonna lie, I was thinking, what if we did a tier list one day just yesterday, but I'm dead. Lol, I mean, I'm down. I honestly never thought about smashing any Pokemons, but maybe for this, thinking emoji. Hey, yo! Let's go. Q-Tip? What's wrong? No way. What do you mean she's down? She's down! Or is it you're so incredulous that she's never thought about smashing Pokemon? What? What's wrong?
飛行機雲つないだ手に湧いてくるパワーどこだって行けそうだよ
Okay, down by the gate. I mean, down by the river. I read Baldur's Gate and I said that. Oh, what if I try singing the other Baldur's Gate song after that? After this one. Think you can predict when she smash? Oh, let me see. Pokemon. I, I don't know. Who are the hottest Pokemon? Honestly, I don't know. Honestly, I don't know. I feel like she'd prefer maybe like someone like Machamp, like a little bit more humanoid, but I don't think she's into Machamp's body type. Maybe a girl? Maybe someone elegant? Beautiful and elegant? Maybe? How do you say this? Serena? Serena? Oh, Gardevoir. Yeah, maybe Gardevoir. Someone maybe like more pleasant. The Raphael song? The other one, the in song, the Baldur's Gate in. Not into Four Arms and Shredded. I thought that was everyone's type. No. You know, I actually only began to appreciate bigger muscles in recent years. I used to like the stick bodies. I don't know. What if I said Komala? I don't know. What if she says no to everybody? What if she passes everybody? My internet stopped working? No, CK! Wait, save your data. It's okay. The stream's not worth it. We're just insane. Oh. What about Hypnos? Actually, Hypnos is so gross looking. But he's got the fingers. Have you seen him wiggle his fingers? I'm dead. Oh, it's Hypno, not Hypno. Sorry, I'm thinking of the Hades. Arcanine? Flush for Arcanine? Really? I guess it looks pretty cool. Looks dependable. There's a whole ass tiger though. Don't worry, we have unlimited. Oh, nice. In that case, watch away. I think I'll be really exposing myself, but I don't know if I want to expose myself now or during the actual stream. Twitch won't let you publish the clips? Oh no! I can still make the videos though? Okay. If you want to, Alpha. Thank you. CK careful. Usually not completely unlimited. Oh, like a secret cap. Ditto? Okay, who do you guys think I would like? Did you play music during that part? No. Only the balloons music. It was like balloons music. Balloons under the extremely spicy boobalicious cutscene. Okay, Google, what Pokemon looks most like Majima? I'm not that thirsty for Majima though. I kind of like, what's his name? The horny guy. What's his name? The guy with the big nose? Yakuza 0. Red suit. Oh, Nishitani. Homare Nishitani. Wait. Yeah, Nishitani. I kind of like Nishitani. Not nose patch, just because I mentioned the nose, stop. Lycone? Yeah, I like Lycone. In terms of what? Wait. Are we talking about Pokemon or are we talking about Boobalicious? But yeah. We did not play any music. Why did I say that like I was singing a song? We did not play any music. Anyways, down by the river. Yeah. Take your guesses. Which Pokemon do you guys think I would want to smash? How about that? Was that the question? In terms of what? Como-o? What is that? What is this? Like a button lizard? I don't know. Doesn't look too hot to me. Diglett? Nah, Diglett, bro. I don't care how buff he is underneath there. No Diglett for me. How would it even work? Oh, who was the... Okay, when I played Scarlet, who was the Pokemon for Scarlet? I don't remember his name. Oh no. What's the lizard's name? The legendary? Blaziken? No. Oh, Koraidon. Koraidon is a yes. Yes for me. He was cool. Snorlax? Oh, maybe. It'd probably be comfortable. As long as Snorlax is Pillow Princess. If he doesn't do anything, I think we're okay. You know what I mean? He'd probably like kill us easy. Lucario? I think I have to say yes. Just because everybody would say yes. Right? He's cool! He's cool! And he's bipedal. Alright, anyways. Down by the river! Yay! Oh my god, this has the lyrics on screen.
Lace your heart with mine. Let your sleeping soul take flight. Take me through the night. Down, down, down by the river. Down, down, down by the river. Hanging moon in far. This will lead where you'll belong. Sweep me off my feet. Down, down, down by the river. Down, down, down by the river. Down, down, down by the river. Inky embers swirl and dance. Just let the flames to take a chance to be with me tonight. Take my hand and hold it tight. 'Cause you and I are everywhere. The night is young. We're going down, down, down by the river. Down, down, down by the river. Down, down, down by the river. Don't wake me up, just leave me there, dreaming.
I think that was the most on time I've ever been for that last line. Yippee! Shout out to this karaoke video. Thank you, thank you. And thank you for the request, Q-Tam! Thank you! Yo, let's try the other song. Oh my god, what is this? The Power? What song is this one? Oh, this is the Siren song? The I don't know that. I don't know how to sing it. Oh, Song of Baldurin. That's the one I know. Well, that's the one I wanted to sing. Maybe I don't know it. It's this one. Oh, thank you for the patches. Sorry, that's not me. Don't mind that.
Oh, sing a song of Baldurin, who founded Baldur's Gate. Empire golden, built on trade, could not avert his fate. When three, though dead, assailed his port, transformed he found their throne. Succumbed as thread from nether years, arose to conquer Rome. Now hope is gone, or so it seems, but game's not over yet. New cards are drawn, new hands are played, newcomers place a bet. Leave a wizard, devil kid, the odds are cast anew, and Baldur's fate now turns upon the whims of fortune's few.
I can do it. And then it loops. Wow! Do you think they have Raphael's song on this thing? I doubt it. Raphael song, Baldur's Gate. Raphael's final act? Karaoke? Really? Thanks for the pachi. Lives, all mortal lives, expire. It doesn't hit the same when it's just me. Does the one they meet at today's mod is new? I don't know. I don't think so. Let me see. Let me read the email better. Let's see. This label is not a suspension against your account. However, if you repeatedly fail to use the appropriate content classification label when needed, the correct labels will be applied to your account for a set period of time. The period of time may increase with each instance of missing or incorrect labeling. Oh, in order to help viewers make informed choices about the content they watch, we require streamers to apply the appropriate content classification label to their channel when a stream includes any of the following: mature-rated games, sexual themes, drugs, intoxication, or excessive alcohol usage, violent and graphic depictions, gambling, and significant profanity or vulgarity. So I'm not in trouble? Kind of? It's just I didn't apply the proper label, so I think the VOD will be okay. I don't actually know how to sing this. I'm sorry. This is a really good song though. I do love this song. How about we listen to him sing it? How about we just listen to him sing it? Just a warning, yeah. Expire.
Souls go to their dooms in flame
Oh my god, when I type in Raphael, I'm freaking listening. I'm typing in Love and Deep Space's Raphael instead of Baldur's Gate Raphael. Okay, I got the lyrics. I'm ready. Mr. Andrew Wincott, take us away.
Hell has its laws. Hell. Effect in the cause. Curtain falls, but hold your applause. Squirm, for now down here come the claw.
Yeah! Why does that go so hard? It goes so hard.
Lives, immortal lives, expire. Souls go to their dooms in flame forevermore.
Fools, how hard you have fought. Brave,
I miss him.
but it's all been for
I miss this guy. Can't believe he's dead.
that could be bought. Doomed,
Now all we have is
detected, and caught.
his little guy. I can't believe he killed him. Why didn't they give us a
No more
romance rap with
deals,
him?
it's over.
So
The
sad.
final act, you're doomed. No more grace, it's over. This house of hope. You're doomed.
Me singing along to the end like I contributed. Yeah. Wow, thank you for the Kitty Tony Stem request. Okay, we can get back to the request. Wow, thanks for the clap, even though I didn't technically sing that song. Thank you. Kitty Tony Stem. Karaoke. Excuse me. Anybody else know this song? 13 years ago? Jesus Christ. Burp. Thank you for the burp. Thank you. Thank you for the patchy. I think I only know half of the song. Maybe? Do I know all of it? We will find out. I know this from Osu? No way!
刻まれた点線を指でなぞるよ。泣けるほど簡単にできてしまうから、難しく考えずちぎればいいの。それは昨日の朝まで僕の内側にあったのに、気がつけば今は目の前で転がっているんだ。感情論で切り取った未完成で曖昧な恋の色は、山降り谷よりしわくちゃになってた関係なんて割り切ってビ箱に捨てられたなら、切り取られてゆく昨日流した涙。
I don't think I know the rest, but I'll try.
閉じ込めた感情を解き放すため、こじ開けた確信犯声を潜めて、作られた偶然を信じた嘘も、諦めた瞬間に色を変えるの。いらない記憶を排除して重たい荷物つなげ出して、そこに残された弱い字、ななねななななな、綺麗な思い出だったのに、気がつけば今は手前さよも出せないの。感情論で切り取った未完成で曖昧な恋の色は、山降り谷よりしわくちゃになってた関係なんて割り切ってゴミ箱に捨てられたなら、切り取られてゆく昨日流した涙。切り取られてゆく昨日愛した人。
And that was Kitty Tori-san. Thank you for the request, Shoko. Yeah, it is a banger. It is a banger. So true. Oh, what if we just did karaoke from this channel? Thank you for the patches. Thank you. Y'all remember this song, guys? This song that I definitely can't sing. There's no way I can sing this. Hey, but it's a bumping song. Took me about 6 trillion years to learn this. LMAO. I can't sing this song. I can't sing this song. But I can try. Something something. Yeah, 6 trillion years an overnight story.
北の集落の名もない幼い少年の誰も知らないおとぎ話。生まれついた時から日々を鬼の子としてその身に余る罰を受けた。悲しいことは何もないけど夕焼け小焼け手を引かれてさ知らない知らないことは何も知らない知らないだがなんだら私も雨上がりの出る決まりもでも本当に寒いんだ知らない知らないことは何も知らない耳の命が見えないくせに
You know, I'm actually singing this way faster than this should be. Maybe I can learn it. I say it way too fast. Alright, maybe another day. Maybe we'll learn it together. Someday. Someday. Ika-sama like game. No chaku. No thank you. Cats dance. Oh, hurting for very hurtful pain. I love this song, but it's so hard to sing. Thank you for the Pachi. My half song, Pachi. Oh, you guys want to hear some rock? Some rock songs? This is a classic. It's called Twitter. R.I.P. to Twitter. I know, say no, nayo. Kansari natte nayo. I'm gonna have to push it down. It's okay, I'll find it. I'll find the pitch, don't worry. Dare mo inai kono heya de hitori kiri utsumui de iru意味もなく覗き込んだ画面越し流されてゆく誰かの言葉にとらわれすぎて重ねてくれきっと心の中吐き出した拡散希望自分のエゴI know 才能ないよ関西になってないよこのまま全てをさよならしよう誰もかも全て消えてく僕も消えてくさよならする I know 才能ないよ時間だけは誰にも愛しくて無情にも流されてく僕らの未来は避けられない人のつながりに臆病な僕たちはリプライできない人は人を笑う僕は仮面をかぶる薄まる人間関係深まる猜疑心を僕たちは抑えられずにいるI know 才能ないよ関西になってないよこのまま全てをさよならしよう誰もかも全て消えてく僕も消えてくさよならつぶやく I know 才能何もかも全て壊して僕も全て壊してもう全て壊して全部壊して明日が世界がなんてどうでもいいんだね今日も輝く I know my 才能 Oh my god, the Blended Bug is back! Fucking died me. Oh my god, Winston! Hi Winston, I'm singing your song! Yeah, I was gonna say. When I see the song, I think of Winston! She did a cover of this back in the day. such a good song. No, I fucked up the end. That's okay. The tempo was crazy at the end. You remember? Of course! The duet! It's a good song. Okay guys, what time is it? 1:40 a.m. I have not eaten since 5 o'clock? 4 o'clock? So I ate lunch at 4, I think, around 4. How long has it been? It's been 10 hours? 5 hours? Oh my god, you're right, the stream is gonna be 5 hours. Oh no! Yeah, I gotta eat soon. Thank you for the Hydra and the posture term. And thank you for the patches. Put the vids former clips on Discord. Thank you, Alpha. Oh my god. Can't wait to see this. Hold on. Okay, okay. Wait, does that make it look worse? Does that make it look worse? Oh my god, it does look worse. It does look worse. No. Hey, how did they know though? How did they know? Experiencing this? We are the boobs. I can't. Let me see some boobies. Cute hair. That's a crazy thing to say. Wisty, we fucked up. We fucked up earlier. You remember I showed you with that Bakemonogatari clip? I was like, it's law. It's Hiroshi Kamiya voicing the guy. I showed that to everybody and then my stream got flagged. It was not good. It was not good. Oh, thank you for the posture, Sonzai. Welcome in. Hello, hello. Oh, cute. Requested a timeout. Alright, who wants to do it? Oh, hi, Star. Star or Misty. Time, cute him out. He needs a little bonk. I have to pee so bad. Okay, I'm gonna do one last song and then I'll go pee, okay? And then we end stream. I mean, we will end stream and then I go pee. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Q-Tem. Time Q-Tem out for 1 second? Misty. You're too nice. Why is 1 second an option? I don't know. I have to be so bad. Oh my god, remember One of Repetition? The song was so hard to sing. I still can't sing it. I'll always remember the most famous cover of this song. And now that somebody is somebody you might know very well. Tsugihagi staccato. Wait, this song is hard. Do I know how to sing this? 600 seconds? No, that's so long. That's 10 minutes. Easy way to clear someone's messages? That's true. Hello, World Bridger! Wait, I don't know how to sing this song, but I know another Toa song. What's the other one? Guys, what's the other? Oh, I know music. You guys know music? I had to pee so bad. We gotta make this fast. Is Q-Tim still in the house? I don't know. Oh, Q-Tim's waiting for his redeem. Patiently. Like a good little dog. He's like, yes, I'm ready. Oh no. 600 seconds now! R.I.P. See you in 10 minutes. Hopefully I'm still streaming. Oh my god. I want him to speak first. Oh my god. Star so... Wow. Kind of a dom. Okay, anyways. Here's our last song. Godspeed, Q-Tim. Thank you for the redeem. And thank you for timing him out, Star. Here's our last song. Do you both sound like...
Music, music この指止まれ Silence, silence 騒がないで耳への思いを鳴らす隙間なんてないのないのないのねかき消してよ言葉とか気持ちとか思いがとかそんなんもう今はいらないいらないいらないよ消えちゃえ消えちゃえ消えちゃえよほらほら出てこないでも思い出とか後悔だとかぬくもりとかそんなんもう今も消せない消せない消せないよ抜けない抜けない抜けないよ詰め込んで埋もれちゃえばいいドゥドゥドゥドゥ手を並べリズムを敷き詰めたら君のこと僕のことまとめて全部全部踏み鳴らせ Music, music この指止まれ Silence, silence 騒がないで君との未来を描く隙間なんてないのないのないのね塗りつぶしてよ Good night, Tilo! Music, music 忘れたいな忘れたいな大嫌いだ大嫌いだ逃げたい逃げたい逃げたいくらい消えたい消えたい消えたいくらいまだまだ出てこないでもせよならメロディーを散りばめたら君のこと僕のこと今すぐ全部全部かき混ぜてMusic, music この指止まれ Silence, silence 騒がないで君の言葉が響く隙間なんてないのないのないのないのないの Music, music この指止まれ Silence, silence 騒がないで君への思いを鳴らす隙間なんてないのないのないのねかき消してよMusic, music Music, music Pew, 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 pew Dun, dun
Yay! That was Music, music by Toa. Toa, the Vocaloid, the cracked Vocaloid producer. Happy 5 hours into stream. Let's go. Best girl, Hatsune Miku. So true, I agree. I have to be so bad. Okay, guys. Oh my god, I know who I want to strain. I mean, want to raid. I have to pee so bad. Let's raid Baji! Hopefully she's still going. To pee so freaking bad. Oh. Yes. Thank you. Thank you for listening. Thank you for the pachus. Thank you. And for those of you who were here earlier, thanks for hanging out for the balloons content that lasted 2 rounds. Yeah, obviously I thought I had more to say for the con, but not that much happened. Just my poop story, gamer subs, old high school friend. That's about it. 2 rounds and 1 content warning. Yeah, and then 3 hours of karaoke. It's fine. It's fine. It was eventful. Thank you, everybody. Thank you. As always, I really appreciate you guys being here. Thank you for hanging out. Hope you had fun. We will raid Miss Baji, who is a correct singer. We love her voice. Yeah, please get the raid message. I have to go pee. I'm gonna go pee like right after I send you guys. So can you guys please tell her if you're a Baji stan, if you're familiar in her chat, please tell her that I'm peeing, okay? Please tell her I have to pee, and I'm sorry that I can't stay. Thank you guys. Oh, thank you, Alpha. Thank you. Is Q-Tim back yet? Oh no. Q-Tim's good. Bye, Q-Tim. Thank you for the clip edit again. Thank you. Oh, Star. Thank you. Thank you. I think you need a space to actually unban him. Wait, unban? You banned him? Untimeout, right? Oh, I don't know. I have to pee so bad. Oh, thank you, Star. Thank you. Wrong username? Wait, what did I say? Oh! Thank you! Oh my god. The way Q-Tim came out of being timed out just to save my life. Oh my god, you're so right. Bajiru Ian. Oh, thank you! Oh my god, you saved my life. We can't time out. We can't time Q-Tim out anymore. That was crazy. Okay, guys. What if I just send you guys right now? We don't have to wait for the timer. Please go send Baji your love. I mean, our love, my love. I have to pee so bad. I'm just gonna send a message and go. Okay, so bye everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you. See you on Discord. If you're in the Discord, we can talk about the sussy moments together. Okay. Good night, everybody. Bye bye. Bye bye. Go, go, go.